Hey, in this video we are going to talk about the top 10 best action movies so far of 2023. Before starting the video, please subscribe to our channel. Number 10. John Wick, Chapter 4. John Wick, Chapter 4 is the highest rated movie in the John Wick franchise, maintaining a tomatometer score well over 90%. This is impressive because it's almost unheard of for a forkle to be considered the best of the bunch. The film has a simple plot. A hitman, Keanu Reeves, ends up on the hit list of basically every other assassin in the world. But what sets this movie apart is the execution, no pun intended. With a wink at the audience, John Wick, Chapter 4 taps into the campiness of straight-to-DVD action movies. Yet unlike those films, John Wick, Chapter 4 is so hypnotic to watch that it's no wonder it made $427 million at the box office. Sites like In Session Film have also noted that the movie is loaded with nods to classic films such as Lawrence of Arabia and Kill Bill. Director Chad Stahelski was previously a stuntman, and only a stuntman could choreograph such dazzling and creative fight sequences. Ever since the first film, the John Wick franchise has been changing the game for action movies, and even in its fourth installment, it's pushing the boundaries of the genre. John Wick, Chapter 4 is daring enough to ask why a gritty action movie can't also be bursting with bright neon colors. Who says that combat can't be elegant like dancing? Who says it can't also be funny as hell? If any of those things strike your fancy, then John Wick, Chapter 4 is definitely your jam. Number 9. Cocaine Bear. In the history of self-explanatory movie titles, it doesn't get any more straightforward than Cocaine Bear, with the possible exception of snakes on a plane. The plot is exactly what it sounds like. A bear high on cocaine goes on a blood-soaked rampage. That may not exactly be highbrow cinema, but if the wild premise is all you need to have a rollicking good time, then it will only take a small dosage of this movie to send you flying high. This movie is well aware that it is campy and stupid, and director Elizabeth Banks gleefully embraces that. Amazingly. Number 8. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny may be the lowest rated Indiana Jones movie on Rotten Tomatoes, but that's still not too shabby. It's also worth noting that the film has a much higher audience score than Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Here, Indy Harrison Ford must don his fedora once more to stop Nazi scientist Jürgen Voller, Mads Mikkelsen, from getting his hands on the titular Dial of Destiny. Critics such as Brian Tallarico from Roger Ebert agree that Ford is easily the best part of the film. The veteran actor is definitely not fumbling in his performance. He puts great care into concluding his character's arc in a satisfying way. The film is a fitting swan song for the legendary archaeologist. Indy's fears that the world no longer needs people like him are cleverly woven throughout the movie. Plus, the detail about his son Mutt, Shia LaBeouf, dying off-screen is a nice touch that adds a twinge of bittersweetness to the entire movie. If you're feeling nostalgic about the original trilogy, then this movie will certainly deliver right down to the musical cues drawn from the first films. True, the movie may rely too much on CGI effects. The de-aging of Indy during the prologue is especially distracting, and it may not be quite what fans hoped. Still, it's hard to stay mad at a movie where you get to see Indiana Jones jump from a plane and outrun a subway train on horseback. Number 7. Extraction 2. This Netflix action movie sequel boasts a Rotten Tomatoes score even higher than the original. Written by Joe Russo, a major contributor to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and starring Chris Hemsworth, this film combines the intense fight sequences of Captain America, the Winter Soldier with the over-the-top antics of Thor, Ragnarok. In Extraction 2, mercenary Tyler Rake, Hemsworth, has just barely recovered from his scrape with death at the end of the first film. However, when he learns that his ex-wife's sister, Tinette Galakashvili, and her children have been wrongfully sent to prison, Tyler comes out of retirement to bust them out and protect them from the hitmen on their tail. Although there's not too much time for character development here, the movie is buoyed by Hemsworth's winning charisma. Usually when critics say a film has non-stop action, they're exaggerating, but here it's not such a stretch. Once Extraction 2 gets rolling, it gives fans one intense fight scene after another. Action fans get to see Tyler slamming bad guys' faces down on a moving treadmill and hurling punches with his arms wreathed in flames. A particular highlight is the train sequence, which appears to be filmed in one continuous shot. The stylized action has led the Chicago Sun-Times to compare it to the John Wick franchise. While Extraction 2 is not quite as well crafted as John Wick, its fight scenes are almost as creative with their choreography. Number 6. Fast X. Fast and Furious fans had better buckle up, because Fast X is sure to give them a while. No, we're going to resist the urge to make any car-related puns. Even without the aid of jokes, there's plenty to be said for this movie. Like the previous films in the franchise, Fast X continues to deliver exciting and over-the-top car chases, including one sequence where Dominic Toretto, Vin Diesel, drives a car over the top of an exploding dam. Plus, it offers plenty of cameos of returning characters from earlier in the franchise. Fans will be excited to see Letty, Michelle Rodriguez clash again with Cipher, Charlize Theron, as well as watch Deckard Shaw, Jason Statham, form a grudging alliance with his former enemy. The whole gang's here for the 10th movie. Number 5. Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Transformers: Rise of the Beasts may not be the best Transformers installment, but you could certainly do a lot worse than this action-packed flick. Set in 1994, before any of Michael Bay's Transformers movies, Rise of the Beasts follows Noah, Anthony Ramos, and Elena, Dominique Fishback, as they team up with the Autobots and the Maximals to stop the world-devouring Unicron, not to be confused with the one-horned magical creature. The animal-themed designs featured here are a bit more organic and considerably more appealing than the character designs from previous films. Likewise, the new settings of this film, ranging from a Brooklyn Latins community to the Peruvian wilderness, helped take the Transformers franchise into new territory. This action movie also has some surprisingly intimate scenes, most of them involving Noah's younger brother Chris, Dean Scott Vasquez, who has sickle cell disease. The AU review says that Ramos and Fishback bring plenty of personality to their characters, even if they aren't given much to do. Meanwhile, the Autobots and Maximals feature the voice talents of Pete Davidson, Ron Perlman, and Michelle Yeoh. The fight scenes offer all the mechanical carnage you could want from a Transformers movie, even if the movie's prequel status means that you already know the planet will turn out okay. Number 4. The Flash. The Flash may only be hovering around 65% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it's certainly a step up from Black Adam and some of the other most recent outings of the DC Extended Universe. The Flash at least makes an effort to shake up the status quo of the DCEU by introducing the multiverse. When Barry Allen, Ezra Miller, discovers he can travel back in time, he attempts to go back and change the tragic fate of his parents, and along the way, he stumbles upon an alternate timeline and unleashes chaos in his wake. In this universe, Batman is played once more by Michael Keaton, while Sasha Calle takes up the mantle of Supergirl, just in time to replace an exiting Henry Cavill. There's even a cameo of Nicolas Cage as Superman, in a sly reference to a canceled film project per Variety. While these possibilities aren't nearly as inventive or awe-inspiring as some contemporary multiverse movies, it's at least a step in the right direction. Number 3. Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3. By the time Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3 arrived in theaters, superhero fatigue was beginning to settle in. Phase 5 of the MCU had already ended one trilogy with a whimper, so fans had reason to fear that the last Guardians of the Galaxy film would also be a letdown. Rest assured, it is not. In the third and final film of the trilogy, Peter Quill, Chris Pratt, and the other Guardians rally around Rocket Raccoon Bradley Cooper as they face the High Evolutionary, Chukwudi Iwuji, the cosmic eugenicist who experimented on Rocket. In this film, Rocket is just as central to the story as Quill, though James Gunn has shared in an interview with Total Film via Games Radar that he intended for Rocket to be hero of the trilogy all along. Unfortunately, Rocket spends most of the movie bedridden, but his intense backstory more than compensates for that. Number 2. Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Movies based on board games do not have a good track record. Just look at Battleship or Ultramarines, a Warhammer 40,000 movie. However, Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves sets a new bar for board game movies, even though Dungeons & Dragons is technically a tabletop game instead. This movie is directed by John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein, who also directed Game Night and co-wrote SpiderMan: Homecoming. It follows the thieves Edgin, Chris Pine, and Holga, Michelle Rodriguez, as they assemble a team to steal a magical treasure that Edgin hopes will allow him to bring his wife back from the dead. Critics such as BBC say that it's refreshing to see a movie from the sword and sorcery genre that doesn't take itself quite as seriously as The Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones. Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves cleverly imbues the genre with plenty of comedy and elements of a heist movie. Pine is perfectly cast as a lovable smartass, while Regé-Jean Page is hilarious precisely because he plays it all straight. Number 1. Spider-Man: Across the Spider-Verse. Quite possibly the best action movie of 2023 so far is actually an animated film. Spider-Man: Across the Spider-Verse is the longest American animated film to date, but you will hardly notice because it flies by so fast. In this sequel, Miles Morales, Shamik Moore, struggles to find a work-life balance as Spider-Man, but he bites off more than he can chew when he tries to help the Spider Society stop a universe-hopping villain called the Spot, Jason Schwartzman. This movie elevates Gwen, Haley Steinfeld, to the role of co-protagonist, but you never once feel that the two are competing for attention in the film. Throw in a bunch of new Spider people, including an unflappable anarchist named Spider-Punk, Daniel Kaluuya, and a pregnant, motorcycle-riding Spider-Woman, Issa Rae, and comic book fans will be in heaven. From Mumbattan to Nueva York, the world of the Spider-Verse is gorgeous. In terms of action, the movie has plenty to offer, ranging from portal-jumping battles to the coolest fight sequence on a space elevator that you will ever see. The movie is so dazzling that not even the cliffhanger is enough to tarnish this masterpiece. And if you like it, please smash the like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell